Thank you, Marcus and General Brown, for that insightful conversation. I'm now excited to continue today's State of the Air Force program with Pat Wadors, Chief Talent Officer of ServiceNow, for a discussion on the state of diversity, inclusion, and belonging. Welcome, Pat. Thanks so much for joining me today.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
And I understand that you're in Santa Barbara.
Yes, yes. Love it by the beach.
Well, terrific. I'm talking to you from Arlington, Virginia. So this new virtual environment allows us to do that. Pat, let me start by reiterating to everybody that you're the Chief Talent Officer of ServiceNow, a digital workflow company. Before we dive into the topic for today's conversation, I think it would be helpful if you could just spend a moment telling us a little bit about you, yourself, your role, and about the company ServiceNow.
Sure, I'd love to. So I'm Pat. I have the privilege of running HR talent for ServiceNow. This is my fourth gig as head of HR in a public company. Prior to this, I was head of HR for LinkedIn. At ServiceNow, we are a workflow, born in the cloud company. And what we do is stitch together workflows that are what we would call one-to-many, meaning that if you are onboarding talent into your organization, we would send information to IT, facilities, payroll, travel, whatever is necessary to, when you get onboarded, you have the standing desk you need, you have your laptop, you have all the materials, tools necessary to start your new gig. And so we make workflow.
Right, I think that's really helpful in setting the stage for everyone, see where you're coming from. Diversity and inclusion is our topic today, and now more than ever, I think it's pretty significant imperative for every organization. I understand that you coined a new term at ServiceNow called belonging, and that you're building a culture there that combines diversity, inclusion, and belonging. Can you share with us your inspiration for that term and explain sort of the notion of belonging and why it matters, why it's important?
Thank you for that question. It does matter. It matters a ton to me and so many people. Here's why. In 2016, as head of talent, I was asked to speak about diversity and inclusion. Now, diversity, we know we've been talking about this for decades, and inclusion probably for the last dozen or so years. But they grab your brain. You think about diversity of numbers and stats and recruiting and interview panels. You think about inclusion as the verb of how do I invite you in? How do I pay you fairly? How do I do my checks and balances? But that doesn't grab our heart, right? If you really want a diverse, inclusive organization, if you want the best of your talent, wherever they are, you want them to feel psychological safety, the trust. You want them to be as authentic as they can be in that workspace to unlock their superpowers. And when you get that, it's a sense of belonging they get, that they matter, they're unique, you care about them, that there's safety around them to make a mistake and learn from it, and then grow from it. And that magic of belonging not only unlocks your superpowers as an individual, but it contributes to your team. It thrives throughout the organization, and it will impact in a really positive way your customers. So belonging matters. It brings the head and the heart together, and we're genetically wired to want to belong to a tribe, to a community. And so if you can unlock that in a very healthy way at work, you can unlock your company's opportunities.
Wow, that really resonates with me, and I hope our audience as well, especially in this time of remote and altered work environments. It is harder to stay connected and feel like you're part of an organization. So I wanted to ask you to elaborate a little bit. What would you say are some of the specific benefits of belonging for individuals and the organizations that they're working for?
Well, let me take a step back first and just make it really tactical for all of us about what is belonging. Like, what can you do as a leader, as a teammate to create that sense of belonging? And it's getting to know the human, right? We will wear many hats, many different jobs. That's not who we are. It's a part of what we do in our journey. So getting to know each other, your origin story, if you will, the language we use to welcoming someone to our team, not my team. So already your words are inclusive. In a digital way, when you're using Zoom or other techniques, everyone's in the front row. Like, technology is actually equalizing our opportunity to be heard and be seen. And so as a leader, as a dance partner to your peers, you can call on people, you can chat with them, you can open up the conversation broader. Now, what happens with that? You get diversity of thought coming through. And if you're listening to diversity of thought, we actually get smarter. It slows us down, yes, in the front end. When you bring us a diverse team together, you rumble a bit, you figure each other out. You say tomato, I say tomato. What does that mean? Oh, it's the same vegetable. But after you get past that, we got smarter by dancing together. We got smarter because you think about the world differently than I do. You come from a different industry, a different background. And therefore, when I am preparing to meet with you and our team, I am anticipating some of the questions you may have. So I'm doing more work. I'm listening more actively, and I don't make assumptions as high a rate as I normally would. So diversity, inclusion, and belonging create better innovation, better outcomes. It creates opportunity for us to get smarter together, to have better innovative products, and it makes us better with our customers because we don't jump to the same assumptions with them as well. We build this muscle of belonging and getting to know the human before you go in for the sale or for the product close or for blank, right? And once you make that connection, trust goes up.
You mentioned technology as an enabler or backbone right now for all of us, I think. And so I wanted to ask you about the technology segment specifically. You know, often it's viewed as a driving force behind progress. We look at the technology segment as a place that leads. How is that industry and Silicon Valley faring in the diversity space? And you know, how did they approach diversity and inclusion? And are they successful right now?
That's a tough one because we are lagging, and we being the Uber technology segment, we're lagging in the diversity space. We are struggling because if you think about startups and how companies are founded, they're typically founded with a few trusted coworkers that worked together in the past. They come together with a great idea. They test case that product or service. Then they start hiring, you know, frenziedly, and they use their Rolodex. They use their network. They don't hire ahead of talent. They don't think about diversity of outreach. They're just thinking about validating a product or services, getting the right people in place so they can go to market and expand their business. And it's after a couple of chapters, if you will, of their maturity curve, they look back and go, oh my goodness, we all look alike. We all went to the same school. We all come from the same country. We all look blank. And that's problematic because it'll get you to success to a certain level, but it won't make you the best, healthiest, most enduring company out there. You need diversity to really thrive. And what we find now in the last, I'd say maybe 8 years or so, 5 years, is where companies, startups, are thinking about culture and talent at the get-go. And those that do it build diverse culture and their values in the very foundation of what they build, and they are thriving. And so the bigger technology companies are seeing how they do it. We love to copy shamelessly and innovate on top of others' great shoulders and ideas. And so we're learning and we're getting better at it, but we have some things we have to fix.
At Defense One, which is the organization that we're participating in our event this week, we often cover what the Department of Defense is doing related to talent, retention and attracting talent and ensuring readiness of our armed forces. So I wanted to ask you, since we just talked about the technology segment, a complex, big, large organizations, how do you think what you're implementing at ServiceNow could translate to the military environment? And what could be improved or positively impacted?
I struggle on this just a little bit, trying to figure out the right language and the right transition. I have the privilege of mentoring vets. I speak community. I try to help them going from, you know, the public sector to the private sector, and we're touching the elephant. And you say this is what I mean. And giving them the skill, say, these are the skills I've acquired in the military and how it translates into your business. And I have the privilege of leading large organizations in recruiting. And so having my recruiters understand translation and helping the vets understand the value they bring and having that confidence to bear will be a phenomenal opportunity for everyone, because the training they get in the military is what I want in tenfold in my organization. And I just need to make sure they understand the values they bring, the skill set they bring, the agility they bring to the organization, and know how to translate that into opportunity in an organization service. And I've been on this quest, not only for my own organization, with all my peers. We talk about it endlessly because it's a great resource and talent that we want to welcome into technology, into other industries, because skills are transferable. We just got to show the way.
Pat, thank you so much for speaking with me today and sharing your insights with our audience. I found it to be an extremely valuable conversation. I'm going to fully embrace the belonging concept after today. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this session. Today's event would not be possible without the support of ServiceNow. So I want to thank the entire organization. We still have one more exciting session left, so be sure to stay tuned for an expert panel discussion on the future of the Air Force, moderated by Marcus Weisgerber, Defense One's Global Business Editor.